Welcome, Jacqueline. There we go. Awesome. Well, it looks like we've got a great critical mass here, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I am Louise Langhire. I use she, her pronouns, and I am honored to be the co-founder and CEO here at Pure Health Exchange. I am really excited that you're all here tonight because we have a great event in store. So again, welcome to folks who are totally new and welcome to folks who have been a part of PHE for a long time. We really appreciate you making the time to join us. At Pure Health Exchange, we build healthier communities with young people. Together, we create education opportunities for peers to share the tools and resources they need to make healthy decisions. So 20 years ago, Pure Health Exchange began when a group of high school students told us they needed health education and they wanted it from slightly older peers, not their 6-year-old teacher. They asked me and a group of college students to help fill the gap. And we have been working ever since over the last 20 years to deliver on their great idea, training college students to teach health workshops in under-resourced public high schools across the country. Last year, in the middle of the pandemic, as our college students were amazingly teaching health education workshops on platforms virtually like this one in schools nationwide, we asked a group of young people what they needed during this unprecedented time. What they told us blew us away and made us stop in our tracks. They told us that while they appreciated what we did in schools, that it wasn't enough, that too many young people needed health education and deserved access to what we did, but didn't have it. They didn't want adults deciding when they would get health education and where they would get it or how they would get it. They wanted it anytime, anywhere, for anyone. And with that, they dreamed up Selfie, a health education app powered by Pure Health Exchange that leverages the very best of the longtime Pure Health Exchange model by young people for young people. And this app was co-designed in partnership with them, in partnership with young people, to create an identity-affirming, inclusive community that they could join. This is the beginning of Pure Health Exchange responding to young people's latest call to action, their call to action for today. I'm so excited that tonight you'll get to hear from the team that works on Selfie, the DirectTease team, from some of our digital storytellers who are rock stars in the PHE universe. And you'll get to learn how we are showing up with content for young people across the country. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us. And I am going to pass it to my amazing colleague, Chris Wilson.
Thank you, Louise. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Wilson. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm the Director of Digital Learning. As Louise just mentioned, I have the pleasure of talking about Selfie. And as many of you may have already heard, I'll take a deeper dive into more of how we did Selfie. So last summer, we invested more into our virtual efforts, and we brought together an incredible group of high school students from across the country. We trained this group in human-centered design, but more specifically, trauma-informed youth-centered health design. And they worked alongside us and our design partners to develop a prototype, which, as you could guess, it's Selfie. Selfie right now is a web-based app with over 60 videos created by young adults like Queen and Jenna, which you'll hear from later, who are our digital storytellers, and they represent very different identities and experiences. And the focus of these stories are really to remind young folks that they're not alone or abnormal with what they're dealing with. Selfie also offers action steps for young people, where they'll have a combination of small steps they can take to support themselves, which are really personalized based on how they responded in the Just For Me process, as well as links to over 200 external resources vetted by young people that they can access to get even more help. In the first 5 months of Selfie, we've had almost 7,000 users come to the app. 24% have continued to access Selfie offerings for over 30 days, and 19% have continue to access Selfie over 90 days. How cool is that, right? We set out to reach young people outside the classroom, and we actually did it. So excited. The personalized recommendation process that we help young people, or that will actually help young people get those personalized recommendations, is called the Just For Me process, which was also codenamed by young people. Um, 1,700 folks or 1,700 young people have accessed that flow, that Just For Me flow, over 1,700 times. And we now have, as I mentioned, 60 videos created by 49 digital storytellers who hold very diverse identities. And this is really important so that every young person sees themselves reflected in their storytellers, in their varying experiences, and in their personalized identity affirming resources. All right. So I know that you all are just as excited to hear this as I am saying it, but wait, there's more. We haven't stopped with expanding the offerings on Selfie. This winter, we'll launch an iOS and Android app, and the next version of Selfie will include a communities feature where young people can safely give and receive support, interact in identity affirming groups on topics that matter most to them, and still have access to near peers to get any sensitive questions answered. And overall, we will make sure that they are referred to trusted resources. Communities are a safe space for young people, and they wanted a safe space by them and for them. So we restricted those communities to young people between the ages of 13 and 18. And our young adult facilitators will be between the ages of 18 and 24. Alrighty, so those are my high-level updates for Selfie. So lastly, I will also share with you, before I pass it to my amazing colleague, Choya, to talk to you about content creation, that we're working on some really exciting partnerships to get Selfie out to even more young people, as well as get them connected to some really strong resources. As these partnerships move further into finalization, we are over the moon excited to share them with you. So stay tuned. Alrighty, that's enough of me. Now we're gonna hear from Choya and our amazing content creators. Choya, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. Everyone, please give it up for Chris in the comments or in the chat box, etc. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Choya. I use they, them pronouns exclusively, and I'm the Senior Manager of Direct Use Content Creation. I lead on content development both on Selfie and on TikTok, which we are actually going to talk a little bit about that today as well. Surprise. And I'm excited to talk to you more about what that means, content development on Selfie and TikTok. So let's get started. Let's talk about content creation. Content creation at Pure Health Exchange is actually quite vast. However, for the focus of today, we're going to be talking about Selfie and TikTok specifically. Our content creators, Jenna and Queen, do both and contribute to both quite beautifully. So we're definitely going to talk about both today. For Selfie, our content looks like video testimonials. Chris mentioned a little bit about those videos and those details. Something that some folks don't know is our community of digital storytellers and the coaching that happens before the videos go on Selfie, done by myself and also my colleague, Shelby, who's our coordinator on our direct use team. These videos are meant to be relatable. They're meant to be compelling. They're meant to be destigmatizing to health challenges that you face. Many of the challenges that you face in terms of stress, body image, etc. And youth have told us what they want to see on Selfie. And we're learning what health content resonates with them on TikTok. We know that identity affirming health content that relates to stress, navigating the pandemic, loneliness, relationships, friendships, the list goes on. We know that those are topics that they want to see. So who are these amazing people telling these compelling, impactful stories on our Selfie app? It is our digital storytellers. Our digital storytellers are near peers that contribute video testimonials around these health topics and also their experiences. After an orientation and a coaching session with myself, digital storytellers choose a topic that they're comfortable speaking to. And we ask our storytellers to be youth-centered. We ask them to be specific about what happened and what their experiences were. And we also ask them to be honest about their experiences and what happened and how they navigated it. So as Selfie is a platform that centers the identity of its users and also, because Selfie is a platform that centers the identity of its users, digital storytellers are coached to think through how their own identity relates to the stories that are being shared. The hope is that we make connections between the stories being shared, the topic that was elected by the young person accessing Selfie, and their identity and the resources that we share with them as well, which are also our identity affirming. So it is very exciting. And we are not only making content on Selfie, we are also making content on TikTok, which you see here. TikTok is huge. Simply put, young people are on TikTok. Many people are on TikTok. They recently crossed the 1 billion user mark, which is very huge considering how new they are. 60% of users are ages between 16 and 24, and over a third of TikTok users allegedly are under the age of 14, according to the platform's internal reports. So because of this fact and the fact that TikTok pacing is what it is, we also create content on TikTok with the very people here, Queen and Jenna, who will speak a little bit about that, along with our amazing content creator, Natalia, who is in the middle of this slide. She is also an amazing person contributing to our TikTok work. So the content on TikTok is not the focus of tonight, but it is important to mention that is the content that Queen and Jenna are also working on, and that they do both. It is an aspect of storytelling at Pure Health Exchange is on our TikTok social media channel. So that brings me to introduce our incredible digital storytellers, our incredible content creators, Jenna and Queen. Yes. So to learn more about our content creation, we're going to hear directly from these two fantastic, wonderful people. We've invited our content creators to join our panel, where we will ask them 6 questions about their experiences as a digital storyteller. We will have time at the end to answer your questions, so please feel free to write them in the chat box as we are talking, as things come up. The chat box is definitely your space to ask any questions as we're speaking. So yes, very excited to welcome both Queen and Jenna to the stage. Hey y'all. So I'm going to ask you your first question, which is going to be your introduction to everyone. So please, both of you, Queen, if you don't mind starting actually, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, your pronouns, and where you live to start, please?
Hi. My name is Queen, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am, a fun fact, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm not even where I'm meant. But I'm located in California, but I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Hi friends, I hope you're all taking good care of yourself tonight. My name is Jenna. My pronouns are she, they, he. Whatever comes to your mind works for me. And I am talking to you right now from the DMV area, which is the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And I'm so excited to be here and talk with you all tonight.
All, in case everyone heard, we're a coast to coast team. You know, it's all vibes on the DTY Direct Youth team. Next question for you both. Jenna, if you'd like to start us this time, share something you wish your 13-year-old younger self knew about your health.
I think the main thing that I wish I could go back and tell my younger self is quite simply that it's not all on you to fix what's going on with you right now. Like, I think that when I was young, I had this really intense perception that if I were changing something about my behavior, like if my behavioral health were better, then I would just be like, fine. Like, you know, like the way that I was struggling with like disorganization and like suicidal tendencies and all those things were somehow related to like not having enough discipline or, you know, like not managing my time better. And, you know, especially as I've gotten older and I've gotten formal diagnoses rather for like the you know, things that I live in celebration with and I struggle with, and they go hand in hand every day. I wish I could just go back in time and say, baby, it's not all you. And, you know, decouple the thought that like your behavior is the only thing that can influence your health. That there are other things going on that are way beyond your control, especially at age 13, that are at play here, that are contributing to what's going on and how you're struggling. And just that moment of like getting to go back in time and say, you know, relax, it's okay. Other people that are in charge are not doing what they're supposed to. It's not just you, and you're going to find a way. You're going to find answers, and you're going to find a way, and it's not always going to be this way.
my God, Jenna, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Period. Okay, I think one thing I would tell myself growing up, like honestly, to put it on. Like I feel like I was so insecure when I was younger, and like I didn't want to wear so many things because I like literally hated my body, and I was going through so much like self-hate in my body, like, and I feel like a lot of young girls like go through, and I could just go back to myself and just like hug me, like, girl, put it on, put those shorts on. Like how many missed opportunities I didn't go to because I didn't like how I looked in the dress, or I didn't like how I looked in this. Like I would just like bring so much like love to myself, and just because I love myself now, like in love with myself, unstoppable. And if I had the same energy that I had now, like when I was younger, I like would really want to give myself that. So yeah, I would tell her to put it on, sis, put it on.
I think we could all use that lesson. Next question. What does it mean for you to be a digital storyteller? Queen, if you want to start us off with this question, what does it mean to be a digital storyteller for you?
I feel like me personally, to be a digital storyteller is just like another way I can like help my community, which is like really big to me because, you know, like, I don't know, growing up, like when I was in high school and I was like middle school and stuff, like it's hard. Like it's hard going through all these different emotions and trying to figure yourself out and going through all these different identities. And I feel like oftentimes like growing up, like older, like adults don't really necessarily listen as much as they should, or like give like the advice that they give isn't as like, you can't like relate to it as much. So I always said that I would try my, like when I got older, like at this age, like, you know, kind of young, like still, that I would try my best to try to like help like teens like learn about these different things, because I know how difficult it can be, and I know how complicated, like all these thoughts going through your head, and like I know that if I can make it easier, like lessen the drama, lessen the load, like I'm like willing to do that because I know how hard it is. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Queen, I always love hearing you answer these questions. I love it when you go first because I find that you and I are always on such a similar wavelength, and it's, you know, it resonates so much. My answer really also does like have roots in my community for me as well. I think that growing up, I really drew a lot of like wisdom and from like and inspiration from narratives. Like I've always been drawn to narratives in general. Storytelling has had a huge effect on me and how I understand myself, how I understand the world, and honestly how I understand my history. In like Black communities and Southern communities, storytelling is a huge part of how you like relate to your ancestors. And you know, there are stories in my family that like date back as far as, you know, my family has been in this country and on this land, and I think that those stories always help me really understand myself, and external stories, narratives, books that I read, TV shows that I watched, and the way that narratives shaped and people could tell concise stories about who they are and what it means for them to be that person and whatnot really had a huge effect on me. And another big thing is that one thing about me, I'm always going to run my mouth. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm an extrovert's extrovert. And so I'm always all the time. And so I think that as I've gotten older and all these things have come together, what I've realized is I'm always going to be talking. I might as well be saying something worth saying. And the way that narratives helped me growing up, I love introducing the people around me, young people specifically, to new narratives. I think about how now that I'm an adult, I have a 14-year-old stepsister who, you know, is now a part of my family. And the stories that I grew up with aren't stories that she has grown up with, right? She had a different family before we met each other a couple of years ago. And so the narratives that I tell now and the way that I, you know, tell my own story about myself will shape hers. I'm part of her new family history. And so I think a lot about those narratives and how to create them. And I think that digital storytelling for me is my path. It's how I'm doing that. And I want people to have that rich connection to their family history, to their ancestors. It's how I think that we as community makers really build sustainability into our community, because you know, moving forward is all about looking behind and saying, okay, how can we build? How can we grow? How can we improve? How can we do better? How can we relate and find ways to strengthen ourselves as we take our next steps? And so that's what this is for me. It's like a lofty ambition for like a, 23-year-old queer kid with brown skin, but I think that it's also the most important ambition that I can have. That's my answer.
You both. Next question, Jenna, you're going to start us off this time. I'm going to challenge you both to answer both parts of this question. So what is one rewarding aspect of being a digital storyteller, and what is one challenging aspect of being a digital storyteller?
So one rewarding aspect of being a digital storyteller is I get to be creative again in adult life. Way back when baby Jenna was, exploring new interests for the first time ever, I used to do this like fake talk show where I would be like in my bathroom and I'd look in the mirror and I would be my own audience, and I'd do just like a little experiment show where I would take like the toothpaste and like make my mom really angry and make a mess, and I'd talk about how I'm baking something and it was a creative endeavor and all this. And life moves on and you get older, and I definitely always have this inclination towards the creative. But I found as I've gotten older, a much more marketable skill of mine is that talking thing that I mentioned earlier. And so, I basically focus a lot of my energy on that, and I lost touch with that creative side of myself that I was so in love with in my youth. And I think that the way that Pure Health Exchange has allowed me to sort of marry marketability in that, like, I can make money off of this, I am compensated for my creativity, and also I can lean deeply into my creativity. It's so wonderful, and it's like a celebration of a past love that I can tell is going to play a big role in my future. So that's like one really rewarding part of it. And then a challenging part for me, truly and honestly, revolves around like my inner child and the work that I think that we all are probably familiar with, having to go back and sort of do what it takes to heal our inner child. And I think the truth of the matter is that the work that I do, I try and bring all of myself to, and as honestly as I possibly can, right? Vulnerability is the name of the game, because that's how people find themselves in your story. And to do that, you have to sort of shed your proverbial robe. And that's hard to do, to say the least. Like, there are times where I'll be, when I was tasked with talking a bit about my like body image growing up, I sat down and I was like, okay, how do I put language to these feelings that I've had my entire life? And really that forced me to go back in time and like sit in the moments that I was feeling feelings for the first time and think about, okay, what did like my 8-year-old brain have at its disposal to describe that? And how can I marry that with what my, adult brain can provide me? Because I think those experiences are equally valuable. And if I can combine them somehow, then I can do that. But in order to do that, I have to sit in that moment, and I have to, experience the possibility, the dawning thought that I had when I was like 8 years old, that like, oh no, maybe I might like girls, and what does that mean? And that fear, it brings it all back for me. It's so real. It's like I'm sitting in that moment. And, obviously the tremendous benefit to this is that I get to, in that moment, move into the thing that I'm doing to heal my inner child. But visiting your inner child, that's hard work. It's hard inner work. And child, some days it is nearly impossible work. But I'm so glad, I'm so grateful that I get to do that work, that I get a safe space to do that work in, and that I can sort of continue that cycle with my near peers who are, just sort of starting that inner work, and provide a resource for them in my own process.
Well said.
That was so good. Jenna, period. Like, honestly, like, period. Everything you just said, like, I can't say nothing else but period. Like, it was so good. I think one rewarding thing for me is, like, that I'm in a way, like, in a different, like, kind of, like, somewhere near and dear in my life, you know what I'm saying, was, you know, diagnosed with AIDS. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. And it was a lot. It was a lot. It was an experience. And I know that they could have been in a different situation if they had the resources and like the knowledge or the support in a sense. And I know a lot of people in my life who have like babies and stuff like that, very young. I know a lot of people in my life who don't know about the access of like Planned Parenthood and like healthcare and all those different things. And for me, I feel like that because I have this knowledge and because I have this support and because I have these resources, I know of these resources, that it is my kind of like duty, like my job to like give back and like help people so I can prevent a lot of these situations from happening. Because unfortunately I come from a low income community, so I know the tea. I know how hard it is to like get certain situations. I truly understand, and I promised myself that when I got older that I was going to use this knowledge and use this language to help other people, because I know a lot of people that are in those similar situations or within these confusing situations like me, or felt the way that I did. So I was like, okay, if I can help them get through that, like I wish somebody like did for me, it'll like, you know, that'll heal your inner child. It'll keep the show going or whatever. And I feel like that's also a disadvantage, because also what Jenna said, those TikToks I be making personal. I put my heart and my soul into those things. You know what I'm saying? So those are really personal. So revisiting back traumatic moments, that's trauma. Me talking about how I used to hate putting on shorts, the story behind that, that's a lot. Like that's a lot to go back and like, oh my God, like I hated my body, I was going through that. Like that's a lot to like relive, and I have to relive. It's like a real, I can remember what I had on the day, everything, like in that moment. So it's like a lot to relive, but I'm willing to do it because it's like, it's for a greater cause in a weird way. It's for a greater cause, and I'm gonna help somebody get through this. I'm gonna help somebody like love their body. I'm gonna help somebody like understand and know the difference between those. I'm gonna stop and teach somebody how to set boundaries and consent, something that I wish that I had, and the knowledge that I wish that I had when I was younger. So it's kind of like when, and that's a lot of, everything I just said, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure to have on your back. So that can like be a downfall too, because you just like, oh my goodness, this is for a bigger purpose. Like this is low key kind of bigger than me, and I gotta like do this, and I gotta like carry this weight. And it's like, it can be a lot, but like, you know, like I gotta do it, like period, like that's it. Like I was like, I got the mouth, I got the energy, I got personality, and I got the like the realness, because I lived the experience. Like I'm not coming out to like, oh, like no, like I'm in the trenches, like, you know, so I know the tea, like I know what it is. So that is what it is.
I will take the time, this opportunity to say, Parallel Exchange really cares for y'all. We care for y'all. And we are really thankful and grateful that you continue to share this work with us. And that this room, I may be speaking out of turn for some of you in this space, but we support you, and we're very thankful that you're willing to talk about this. Queen, if you can get started with the next question. How do you hope young people feel after watching your videos on TikTok and on Selfie?
I hope that young people feel inspired. I hope that they feel like heard. I hope that they feel like somebody's like listening to them, and like that they're understood, and like to just like remind them that they like have a voice, because I feel like a lot of times like with youth, like they get brushed off a lot or something like that. So I just want to remind them that they have a voice and they have a say over like what goes in their body, what goes outside their body. They have a say over their body. So just like really bring it in. I hope they feel reassured. I hope they feel happy. I that's what I'm hoping for.
Same. All that energy and more. Like, I think that you answered that question so well. For my answer, y'all might have to bear with me, right? But you know, when you're like scrolling through social media and you see a joke, and that joke is just so tailored to your niche experience, on this little rock that's floating through space, that you're like, how, like, what forces in the universe put this on my path that I would be so called out and called in because of this post? I think that I want to make content that really resonates with people like that. And I think that I've like definitely had moments in my life where like good people got together with like big brain power and made content, or, you know, something like that that spoke to me at that level. So I know it's possible. And I think that we are all good people with big brain power. And when we get together, the content that we make is truly magical. I know I've watched Queen's TikToks or, you know, Queen's videos on Selfie, and I'm like, child, where was this when I was young? You know, like, I want this. This is so relatable. Everything that you're saying, the experience that you had, that was my experience too. And I think that that's what I want. I want, you know, young folks, kids, to be able to see themselves in reality and know like they are not freaks. They are not the only ones experiencing this. I know that when I was young, I was just like totally in that mindset. And maybe that's just me, but I don't think that it is. I think that so many people out there think there is no way that anybody else could be having this, you know, self-same experience. And like most of the time when I was feeling that way when I was a kid, I grew up and got on social media and realized, oh no, like you were just one more queer kid that was going through that exact same thing. Like your crush on Susan from the Chronicles of Narnia series, that's a pretty universal experience for like WLW young people from your generation and that sort of thing. Like I think that is what I want. I want that safe space because that's where I feel comfortable enough to like take responsibility for my own growth, to reach out to the people that I know can help me along those lines and whatnot. And I think that if we can be that content for people, we're doing our job right. There's a lot of sustainability in that arena.
Thank you. Jenna, let me start with you. What or who inspires you to tell your story?
So, great question. To answer that, I want to describe to you all a picture that I have saved like at the very front of my albums on my phone. And it's a picture of my current partner when they were like 3 or so years old. And they're so cute in this picture. They're like in a little cute sundress and they're holding a black Barbie doll, and they're just like, you know, they have beautiful chocolate dark skin. That's how they describe it to me every time they see the picture. And and they're standing sort of like pigeon-toed the way that they do now, the way that they stood when I first fell in love with them. And I think that for me, I think about that kid, that baby who was 3 years old, and all the things that baby went through to become the person that I met when I first met my partner and fell in love with them. And all the things that they had to survive, all the resilience they had to build, all the resources that they could have had access to but didn't because of, you know, a plethora of different reasons. And I think about all the way that good people with big brains tried and didn't quite reach where they were aiming for. In the case of, you know, kids that grew up in that community, in that time frame, in that era and all that. And the kids that are like that, the kids like my partner that are just, that have a storm awaiting them or that are in the storm currently, but will inevitably grow up to be amazing and unbelievable people that will be loved fiercely. The people that will have somebody like me who would rather die a million deaths than to ever have to watch somebody like that go through anything like what they've gone through. I think about all those people that are out there. You know, everybody is that to somebody, and I want to be able to make content for that person, because I know that somewhere somebody did an act of extreme vulnerability. They spoke truth and honesty to my partner, and that brought them to me. And my life has changed forever because of the world has changed forever because of it, right? And we all have that person. Think of that person. Who's that person in your life? I know that it's there. Whether it be, you know, a bestie, a partner, a teacher, whoever. We all have sort of this responsibility to be all that we can for people, because everybody is going to be somebody like that. And I think about my partner when they were 3, every time I have to do the work that I do. And I feel like I have to do it. I'm called to do it because of that. And that's really my answer for that little kid, that little Black trans kid who would go on to really and honestly be everything that they wanted, but had to go through everything they didn't want to get there.
I think what inspires me, that was the question, right? That was what inspired. I think it's a little bit of my inner child, and then like for the underdogs, like I just really I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. Like I gotta really like word this well, because I feel like that type of energy, just thinking about what I had to go through and just thinking about what so many other kids and like youth are constantly going through, especially in these like lower income community, that really drives me. Cause I just feel like I'm always like, I don't want somebody to be in a situation that like I was in, or going through the stuff that I was going through, or something like that. Or I just, because they have a lack of resources, or somebody that don't want to step up to the plate to like help them and like develop the language around like how they feeling. And I think the other thing, the person that's super close in my life that like have AIDS, again, I feel like that could have been prevented. And I feel like things could have been different if the resources were there, if the support was there. So I feel like that really motivates me and like inspires and drives me, because I feel like, you know, I got the language, I got the knowledge, I have like, you know, and I have the experience, like I lived life, like I like know what it is. So I feel like that me having that, it helped, and me knowing that it's like kids out there, like youth and stuff out there that's possibly going through the same thing I'm going through, or the person that's close in my life that's going through, it really motivates me and pushes me to be like, I need to do this for them, or whatever. Because I know when I was growing up, I would have loved to like see, like go, I would have loved to have this app like this whole thing when I was growing up. I would have loved to have this when I was growing up, because it's hard. And especially when you're in a low income community, you're not in a house where you're supported, when you don't have the resources, it's hard. And that just makes it extra harder. So you really trying to figure it out, and you don't have the language for it. But like if you scroll past somebody who like that's how I feel. Exactly what she said. That's exactly how I feel. Like it helps a little bit. At least me knowing when I was younger, those little things like really help you along the way. So my video or my little like TikTok or whatever talking about setting boundaries and self-love, like low key help somebody on the way, and they be like, "Ooh, I should put on these shorts. Ooh, I should go outside. Ooh, I'm gonna set these boundaries. If you can't respect it, back up. I'm gonna keep doing it." And I feel like that really inspires me and pushes me. So yeah.
Thank you both. I have one last question, and then we're going to turn it over to the rest of the space to see if they have any questions. I'm going to ask you to say this in a sentence or two, because I know it will be very hard to do that. But speaking of like core lessons here, what do you want young people and adults to know about digital storytelling?
I go first this time, no worries. I don't know if it was my turn, child. I lost track. Anyway, I think that normally my answer would be, you know, show up, be vulnerable. But this time around, I'm going to go ahead and say, in a sentence, it's that this work, digital storytelling in general, it saves lives. It changes lives. It's changed my life. It's changed countless lives of other people I know. And it's the real deal. It's the real thing. It's how things are trending right now. And it has the real potential to make monumental difference. That's the main thing.
I think I would say that this app, Selfie, man, it was a good answer. I feel like that was a good answer. I feel like I would say that it's good for support and helping you understand things that you may not understand, and helping you put into words things that you couldn't put in words before, and helping you develop that language that you need to express your feelings. So I feel like that's what I would say.
Big round of applause for our amazing panelists, content producers, storytellers. The list goes on and on and on with these two specifically. Thank you all for your attention and your active listening. Thank you, Jenna and Queen, for allowing me to facilitate between the two of you. I had a ball. I will now turn it over to Chris to close us and or facilitate questions if those happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Choya, Jenna, and Queen. Would you all join me in just like doing applause in sign language? Like, wow. Thank you for your transparency. Whew, okay, that was great. You all are amazing. Shout out to Choya as well. Yeah, this is a really good evening. I hope you all are enjoying the transparency as much as I am. Let's check the chat for questions. Yes, there is an amazing question. So for Queen and Jenna, someone would love to, actually I can't see that, would love to hear if you all would share a moment of joy you've had while working on selfsea or content creation. Bring the joy.
I feel like, because it's going to lead me into shouting out Choya, because they are just so amazing. And like, honestly, like what brings me joy is how supportive they are and how understanding, and what they create such a welcoming and understanding. Yeah, I'm shouting you out because period. They are just so amazing. And like also like a really joyful moment I have is like when we have all these meetings, because everybody that's in this program is super cool. And I just feel like we homies and like besties. So like when we go to these meetings, it's like, it's just a good time. Like we just really just making up these TikToks and like sharing stories and like making these connections. And it's just so good. It's just like a good feeling. Like I just love it. And I just love their energy. And it just brings me joy every time we go to a meeting. Like it don't matter what it is. Like every time I go to a meeting, I'm just like, I'm gonna clock into work. Like this is it. Like I'm having a good time. So that just has to be my joyous moment.
Why would you steal my answer right out from my mind? No, I was literally going to say that. I was literally going to say that we squat up. Like everybody in this program that's doing this is so genuinely wonderful to work with. And like no cap, I would be friends with each and every one of you if I weren't doing this. And there is nothing like when I find like a funny TikTok sound and I send it in the group chat, and I just know that it's going to like bust everybody up. Like I just know it is, because it's so silly, and I know what we're gonna adapt it into is like really cute and really fun and really like informative and whatnot, but the sound itself is ridiculous and funny and whatnot. I love that. I love getting to share my ideas and getting gassed up and gassing all the rest of you up. And I really can't say this enough. Choya is one of the honest to goodness best supervisors I've ever had, because there's so much room for individual work style, for individual, individualistic working in general. And then it's super collaborative as well. And the way that they've managed to create room for us to be ourselves and completely ourselves with our different personalities and backgrounds and thought processes and whatnot, and still meet up and talk and collaborate and be that's all them. Like there's no way that happens without just fabulous management. It's actually the standard now. Like every other job that I have is going to have to measure up to this, which just seems like I'm cruising for a bruising with that one, because I just don't think I'm gonna find it.
I have to unmute and say period, because period. This is the standard now. I will refuse to be treated no, I refuse. This is standard.
when I say, Choya, you are so deserving, like my face is hurting because this is all whatever by you when we check in. Thank you, Jenna and Queen, for that. We have one more question, and just Choya, you are the bee's knees. So Jenna, you talked about this lightly, but I will pose this question to both of you. TikTok creation has been a huge part of your role currently. Which TikTok has been your most favorite to create?
Okay, so I don't know how many people here have seen it, but beginning of this year, there was a challenge on TikTok called the Silhouette Challenge, and it took Put Your Hands on My Shoulders, and it merged into Streets by Doja Cat, which is like a very it's a good song. It's a good song. And what they would do is they'd sort of like fake people, they'd fake people out with like a really cute sort of like kosher song, like song that's like really normal and nice and innocent, and then it would go into Streets by Doja Cat and they'd show a silhouette of themselves. I decided to take that idea and flip it on its head, and because it's like a sexy trend and whatnot, I decided to do that and fake people out like I was going to do a silhouette challenge, but then when the beat dropped and it turned into Streets by Doja Cat, I did a video that was like, here's what you need to know about safe sex and like the different levels of efficacy and birth control. Because let's be honest, they're watching these videos, they're engaging in activity they need to know. And I felt like it was a really fun way to like engage them in this. It's very pertinent to what the topic of the video typically is. And it was a lot of fun for me to sort of do that. And I know that as soon as that video posts, I'm going to send it to my little sister and be like, know your information, bestie.
Oh my goodness,
Right.
this is a tough.
There you go.
Sorry. This is a tough one because I made some bangers. I made some bangers this time around, and they were good. It was some good sounds. So I don't know if y'all know this sound, but it's the one with Keke Palmer where she was interviewing Megan Thee Stallion, and she's like, I know it ain't the Stallion. You know it's your girl. Like, you know that TikTok? I don't know if y'all know it, but if you don't, please go look that interview up because it was truly iconic. And there was no way that I couldn't use that sound. There was no way that I couldn't use it. So I texted Joy and I was like, can I use this sound? And they was like, yeah, you can work it out. So I just did it where it's like the first scene is like me getting out of bed, and then it's just me saying, I know it ain't the Stallion. And the Stallion that I'm referring to in the next scene is my birth control that I take regularly every morning at 7 a.m. And it's like, you know, it's your girl because that is my girl. That is my girl because she gets me through it. That's my birth control. And I know other girls, I know, and I did that one because first, the sound is super popular. And who doesn't love it? Who doesn't love Keke Palmer? Like, come on now. I had to do it for her. And second, now like in high school, I remember I started taking birth control when I was in high school. And it was like, you know, I'm faithfully on it. So I just made the TikTok because I was like, I know some other girlies out here who take their birth control every morning faithfully at the exact time. So you know it is. You know that your birth control is your best friend. So, and I thought it was really cool. And that's my fave. And I'm just so happy that they let me use the sound. I was like, y'all really gonna let me use the sound? And period. And I was just super happy. That's my fave.
Awesome. Thank you. Also, TikTok allowed us to use the sound, and our Marcom team said it was okay. So yes, but no, I am so excited to see it when it posts. All right, so I am going to close this out. I will just start by saying thank you, Jenna and Queen, for sharing your experiences and truly being vulnerable with us. It is truly a testament of the content you create. Like, it's just truly amazing. So I get to be involved in this work daily, and you all inspire me with your energy, passion, honesty, and the thoughtful content that you create. I will be remiss if I didn't shout out Choya and Shelby, who is not here, that make up the content arm of the Direct to Youth team. Thank you. If you would like to learn more about Peer Health Exchange, make sure to visit us at our website. And also just share the Selfie app with young folks who could benefit from receiving digital health content and resources. You can learn more and refer young people to selfsea.org. That is SELFSEA.org. To our guests, thank you all for joining us. Please take care of yourselves, stay happy and healthy for yourself and those around you, and we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you. Hope to see you soon.